Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative. On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
A Minnesota judge has just sentenced the mastermind behind the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme, Amy Bach. She just got more than 41 years in prison. The prosecution is asking for a 50-year sentence and her defense about 3 years. So that's somewhere in the middle that they got that, but closer to what obviously the prosecution wanted. The scheme involved the theft of nearly $250 million in COVID funding. That money was meant to feed hungry children. State leaders claim they were unaware of the fraud.
Yeah, right. Welcome, my friends, to the Thursday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media. You heard it right, Amy Bach. I mean, you think about the time she has to do, just put together the months on this, what that they have charged. They sentenced her to 500 months in jail. 500 months in the slammer. Do you realize that that is more time than in many blue cities? That's more time than some of the most heinous murderers get. That's more time than some of the most heinous serial rapists and murderers get. In some blue cities, one would wonder if that's more time than some serial killers end up spending in jail. But the sentence stands nonetheless. Her attorney, Amy Bach, said that her crime, stealing almost $250 million that was supposed to go for hungry children, he said it was just, I guess it was a mistake. It was just gross negligence. She was negligent. I'm not saying she's not saying taking personal responsibility, her lawyer said. What I am saying is if I can project to the court what she intended to do for this group of people, in her mind, she thought she was giving them access to being good citizens and being in the program. The judge wasn't buying it. He said she had an integral role in planning the scheme. He also said she lied when she was confronted with this business on the stand. As you heard, the prosecution wanted 50 years. They're giving her 41. But she's got to pay back some money, too. And I wonder how she's going to do that. She's got to pay, I think I'm looking for the figure, I believe they asked her to pay almost $240-something million back. 41 years in prison.
How many license plates is that?
How many license plates is that? That's a bunch of license plates. Yeah, they want her to pay back almost $243 million. What do you think the chances are? You know, Carlos, this woman could afford to go to a Knicks game. She could afford the good seats.
She could take all of us to a Knicks game.
Maybe, and she wouldn't have to go out to Cleveland to get discount seats. She could afford to be in Madison Square Garden and not in the nosebleed section. Yeah. Meanwhile, we have other news. So you got that one, $250 million in that one. Let's go to cut one, shall we, and check out U.S. Attorney AG Colin McDonald, he had an announcement of his own this afternoon, too.
Today,
this morning.
We are announcing criminal charges against 15 defendants in Minnesota
15.
for fraud schemes that targeted over $90 million in taxpayer dollars. Let me be clear up front about something. This is not the end of our work in Minnesota. This is not the end of the beginning of our work in Minnesota. This is the beginning of our work in Minnesota. The fraud here in Minnesota is shocking. Our cases today involve 7 different state-managed Medicaid programs that have been systematically pilfered by fraudsters who treated Minnesota-run programs as their personal piggy bank. One of the programs has been completely shut down because there's no money left. It's all gone. That was Minnesota's state-run Housing Stabilization Services Program.
They stole every brown penny, every silver dime out of it. If it was there to steal, they stole it. They got it all. It's pretty amazing. And then you have another headline out of Minnesota. Here's a headline from Fox this afternoon. Owner of daycare in viral Nick Shirley video charged with $4.6 million daycare fraud scheme, prosecutors say. I saw a guy, he was on the Charlemagne. You know what they're doing with Charlemagne? They're going to put him on Netflix in the morning. Anyway, the breakfast thing. There was a guy there that was arguing that Nick Shirley's a bogus reporter. He doesn't follow journalism, and he's picking on black people and blah, 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 blah. And how dare Nick Shirley? He's just some random dude. He's not really a journalist. Headline. Owner of daycare in viral Nick Shirley video charged with 4.6 daycare fraud scheme, prosecutors say. A woman, we got that, let's see. Accused of pocketing $1 million. Her name is Faima Ega Mohammed. She was charged Wednesday with wire fraud and conspiracy to defraud the United States. She's another one that was indicted for her role in the Feeding Our Futures, but she had a separate scam to make millions. And so let's add that up. Just what we have from the initial segment of the show. We got 250 million, and then from the Feeding Our Futures, then we got another 90 million from this other one where they looted everything so bad one of the programs, Housing Stabilization, had to cut down. Let's see. That's 310 million, and then we have another 4.6 million. So it's only 314 million bucks. In just today's episode. That's all. But they're saying the fraud out there could total, and you've heard the figures before, by the time they get through looking at everything, they're thinking they, meaning prosecutors, meaning the task force that has been set up to examine fraud, they are looking at maybe $9 billion. We haven't even got to California. Haven't got to Ohio. Haven't got to what's happening in Maine. Haven't got to... if all of this is happening there, how much do you think they're looting out of New York? How much we already said California. How much do you think they're looting out of New York?
We don't have fraud here.
What are you talking? Yeah, Carlos. Yeah, you don't have fraud in New York. Yeah, right. Right to you. By the way, speaking of California, Kate, do you know a man has been beaten almost to death out there? And he's in a nice neighborhood, what used to be a nice neighborhood, in San Diego. TJ, you know something about that. You know, Escondido? Yeah. Escondido used to be a really nice neighborhood out there. Anyway, the man is an older man, and he has what they call the Trump house out there. Around his fence and all, a bunch of American flags and Trump stuff. Well, An Escondido man known for his conspicuous pro-Trump display outside his home has been hospitalized in critical condition after an attack nearby. And a California man has been charged with attempted murder. After allegedly injuring the man outside his Escondido home. The suspect is 32 years old, Thomas Caleb Butler. He's being held at the Vista Detention Facility in San Diego County. They found, when police arrived near him, near the intersection of East Mission and Buchanan Street, they found an elderly man suffering from significant injuries. They also said there was a good Samaritan who tried to intervene, I guess, and stop this horrible beating of this man, and that person had also been hurt. A 69-year-old man beaten up. Video taken in the aftermath of the attack showed a man pointing responding officers to something and gesturing as though someone was being kicked or stomped. Police placed evidence markers in the streets, photographed in the front of his house, near the mailbox, a parked pickup truck with 2 American flags set up over the bed. Blood between the driveway, between the vehicles. So apparently, some of those tolerant left or atolerant, one might assume, we don't know for sure, leftists, could be something else. Could be something else. We don't know. But the assumptions that people are jumping to immediately are, this guy was well known to be a Trump supporter, and there was a lot of dislike for him in this particular neighborhood. And apparently he's been beaten to the point that the accuser in this has been charged with attempted murder. We shall take a break. James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media continues.
The Rush Hour with James Golden, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
The road to the NBA Finals ends here, with star guards setting the tone. The Cavs eye another upset, while the Knicks carry the dreams of all of New York. The Eastern Conference Finals continue on ESPN and ABC.
The Rush Hour with James Golden, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Doing anything, and I think it gives more to the idea that this is just a made-up lie, because you do not investigate someone for 10 years and not come up with anything.
So then why do you think it's still being talked about?
Because these people are disgusting. They believe in weird, creepy things, and that's why they want to believe in this weird. And that's all I will say.
No, definitely. Why do you think, I guess, that you're being targeted then? It's
because they're racist, they're xenophobic. I just happen to be Muslim, and I don't think you're allowed to continue from there. But,
okay. Understood.
Yeah, I mean, they're just disgusting, bigoted people, and that's all I gotta say.
All right, thank you.
That was Ilhan. Why are you being targeted out? Well, they got nothing on me. They're just full of, poop. Yeah, stomp on that. James Golden, Snerdley, okay, it's out. The autopsy of the Democrat Party's loss in 2024. They finally put it out, and the Democrats are complaining even as they put it out. Oh, this thing isn't great. It's whatever. The report was prepared by Democrat strategist Paul Rivera, and they're saying that under Joe Biden, the White House did not. It's Joe Biden's fault that Kamala lost. What are you shaking your head for, Carlos? It can't be her fault. It's his fault. The White House, listen to this, the White House did not position or prepare the vice president. Had the White House explored and evaluated ways to leverage Kamala Harris earlier in the administration, perhaps it would have approved the president's standing, and it certainly could have helped prepare her to lead the ticket. Now, there's a lot there to unpack. What they're saying is Kamala Harris, without saying it, was unprepared to lead the ticket. But it's not her fault that she was unprepared. It's Joe Biden's fault that Kamala Harris was unprepared to lead the ticket because they didn't explore ways how to leverage her. Like, I guess they didn't make her border czar or give her any responsibility or anything like that where she could have excelled. Yeah, I mean, they didn't explore ways, so they kind of hid her away. Like, mommy, we had to put her on the ticket, but now can we put her in the closet? Mommy, can we hide her? We don't want her seen in public next to us. And if they had just shown Kamala how to be a leader and leveraged Kamala, then maybe, do you know what was missing from this report? They didn't mention Joe Biden's age, his cognitive decline. They didn't mention what was going on with all of the pro-Palestinian protesters that were destroying the Democrat Party. And they also say the Democrats did not get this. They didn't attack Donald Trump enough. We have more.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is SSG alert. What is the SSG? It's Sister Gangster. Sister Gangster. Do you realize that because of the Supreme Court ruling that is going to stop segregated districts, that we might have an endangered species as far as some congressional representation? If there are no segregated districts with black districts where and some of these people actually that are in office now actually have to face the voters of their state, a cross-section of voters in their state, and not just a segregated pool of voters, things could be different. And some of the sisters might be gone. Now, one of the sisters that we have is already gone anyway. She lost an election. But then the other sister, the bald-head girl, lady, you know, we have her too. In fact, so let's just start with, but this, I'm just putting it up an alert, because if the sisters are gone, how else am I going to get entertaining sound bites from some of the sisters if they're not there? And I'm just a little concerned that this Supreme Court ruling might take away some of my programming material, to be totally candid and selfish about it. So without further ado, it's time for our Sister Gangster segment of the show. Here is a representative from, is it Massachusetts or whatever? And it's a bald-head chick. Ayanna Pressley.
Absolutely.
Here
I mean, not one promise has been kept to black Americans in this country when every bit of prosperity you enjoy was built on our backs. 400 years of labor for free. And we never got our 40 acres and a mule. And we are still, harmed by practices like redlining and appraisal bias. And so we are long overdue for reparations. I'm proud to be the lead sponsor of H.R. 40. Black folks are certainly deserving of redress and reparative work, and one bill will not undo centuries of harm.
Carlos, did you know that you didn't get your 40 acres and a mule? Oh, you weren't here. Ooh, hold on.
I didn't even know what that phrase meant until last year's Super Bowl.
You never knew, well, you weren't here in the country. You didn't know that you would do 40 acres and a mule. TJ, you didn't get your 40 acres and a mule either. Okay, I didn't get my 40 acres and a mule, and Ayana's mad. Okay, so that's one of the sisters in the SSG break. Let's hit the other sister. She doesn't need an introduction. You know her voice by this time. You know who she is. Cut 14.
We haven't had one hearing on white supremacy. Yet when we look at things like the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, the 9 worshipers who were murdered at the Mother Emanuel AME Church, the 23 people murdered in 2019 during a shooting at Walmart in El Paso, the 10 people murdered during the 2022 shooting at a grocery store in Buffalo, New York. All of these were murdered by white supremacists who are empowered by the Republican Party's racist rhetoric and policies. This is the same party that wants to drag us back to the Jim Crow era. Some say that there aren't poll taxes, and I guess it's because they're not listing the amount of money. But when you tell somebody that they've got to go and pay for something, say, like a passport that costs over $100 in order to be able to vote, that looks like a poll tax to me. Some of y'all need to read up on your history books, the very same ones that the Republicans have decided that people should not hear about, because you don't want real history taught in our schools because you're afraid that it's going to hurt people's feelings to know that their ancestors were so savage that they would enslave black folk. You don't want them to understand why the 14th Amendment mattered then and it matters today. You don't want them to understand that when they draw these racist lines and tell black folk that they shouldn't have representation in this country, that it is against the Constitution. You want them to be ignorant so that they can sit up here and be your token for your mission.
Has expired. Well, you can't yield because you done run out of time.
Yeah, that was, Jasmine. But just me. I mean, okay, oh my Lord, was who kicked by a mule? Oh, yeah, she must be that America's Small Caffeinated Mom must have just heard Ayanna Pressley there. Or Jasmine. Look, you people are lucky, and we're all lucky. Can you imagine the husbands? Is Jasmine married? I don't think so. She's not married. But can you imagine one day Jasmine's going to be, if Jasmine gets married, can you imagine what it would be like to be Jasmine Crockett's husband and to tick this woman off? Can you possibly imagine what your life would be like? Or even Ayanna Pressley, the bald-head chick. I mean, seriously. I'd be like, yo, howdy here. Okay. So that was our Sister Gangster segment. Because if the Supreme Court, if this thing happens, we might not have as many sisters in Congress. If they have to actually go before the voters of their state and not just a segregated district where they're protected, where they actually have to compete for votes like other politicians have to do. Meanwhile, Karen Bass, cut 7, is the mayor of Los Angeles. Let's check in with her. It's a simple question. It's a question that has come up before in politics. Should non-citizens be voting? Listen to this.
Councilmember Hugo Soto Martinez, who has endorsed you, he wants to explore ways to let non-citizens vote in city elections. I know that there are some cities that already do this, but politics is all about timing. With Donald Trump in the White House, is this the right time for Los Angeles to go down this path?
Well, I think we need to explore it. Now, I've not seen exactly what he's calling for. I have a little familiarity of what happens in other cities. And, for example, some cities will allow people to vote in, like, city council and school board elections because they pay local taxes, but they are not necessarily undocumented. They might be here completely legally, but have not finished the citizenship process. So we'll wait and see. But, some questioned that around sanctuary cities, too. But we made that into law, even though Trump had been elected, and it was because our population of immigrants who are vulnerable were terrified. And that
okay, so should non-citizens? Well, we'll have to explore it. And now let me just give you the Democrat Mickey Mouse and keep on with the Mickey Mouse to try to obfuscate the fact that I just said. Sure, I think that non-citizens should be voting. We need to explore that. Ladies and gentlemen, Austin, Texas is one of the most liberal places in America. I want you to listen, please, for a moment to a Fox News report. This is cut 2. That came out of Austin, Texas. They had another one of these where you have these teens in the street, like New York. They're happening across cities. The teenagers are going berserk. It's summertime, and they are wilding up, going berserk, having these fueled by social media collaborations of, in some cases, it appears to be hundreds of teenagers rampaging through American cities. But you have other stuff. You had this big shooting down there in Austin over the last weekend, a mass shooting. And here's a report from Fox News about it, or I'm just bringing it to your attention because I don't know whether you've heard some of the specifics about it. Here we go.
Back, we have an update for you on the violent weekend in Austin, Texas. 17-year-old Christian Fajardo Mondragon. He's being held without bond after allegedly taking part in a shooting spree across the city, and he's facing 6 felony charges. But here's what stands out. It was reportedly revealed in court he is not a U.S. citizen and has an ICE hold. And this is not his first run-in with the law. Police said the 17-year-old was already on juvenile probation and had an active warrant for stealing a firearm. The other suspects, ages 15 and 16, are being handled separately because they are minors. But after an hours-long manhunt, 2 of the suspects were eventually found hiding in a barn in Manor, Texas, where this badass homeowner held them at gunpoint.
I noticed my barn doors were open, which I did leave open, and I decided at that time to go ahead and clear them to make sure nobody was in there. I had to literally shove my way in, and when I did, there's 2 suspects sitting right there on each side of the door. I'm trying to flag the sheriff to come up to my house at the same time I'm going in my truck to get my gun. Well, as I'm entering my truck to get my gun, I hear them running out behind me. I eventually cornered them at the fence line and held them at gunpoint until state troopers and SWAT were able to capture him.
God bless Texas. 4 people, though, were hurt in that shooting, and 1 is still in critical condition. 5 vehicles, 4 homes, 2 fire stations, and 3 fire department vehicles, all struck by gunfire. At the end of the search, police say
by another one of these gangs of little teenagers. One of them, well, the other 2 we don't know because they're minors and we can't find out the truth about them. But it turns out the lead teenager in the Austin shoot 'em up here illegally. But he's not 18 yet. But he's a child. He's a child. What do you think ought to happen this summer with all these kids wilding and going on these? I'm telling you, this is, folks, every year we hear this could be a long, hot summer. Usually that means Democrats want to riot. And they're warning people in advance. Yes, Carlos, that's really what it means. When Democrats start talking about a long, hot summer, that means code word for riot. We want riots in the street. But with these teenagers out here wilding, this really could be a different kind of long, hot summer. And I don't know what police departments are supposed to do about this. I'm open to suggestions. We have to take a break, ladies and gentlemen, because the clip of the day is coming up. James Golden Snerdley, clip of the day coming up on this, the Thursday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media.
The Rush Hour with James Golden, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We cannot leave today without saying happy birthday to Ronald Isley. The Isley Brothers, born in 1941. Isley Brothers been around since 1959. Shout broke for them that year. Twist and Shout, 1962. The Beatles covered it. This Old Heart of Mine, Summer Breeze, Harvest for the World, For the Love of You, so many other hits. And every time I think about this, I think about my friend Chris Jasper, who wrote this song with the Isley Brothers. Happy birthday, Ronnie Isley, a beautiful voice, great group. So much talent from the Isley Brothers. James Golden, Snerdley with you. It is time, ladies and gentlemen. Leave that up. I want to hear the chorus. Thank you. Time, ladies and gentlemen, for the clip of the day. It is Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche was asked a question from a reporter. This is great.
And quick follow-up. What are the prospects that you could get Raul Castro to the United States to face justice, given the situation there? And what steps are the U.S. willing to take to get him back here?
Well, we indict men outside of this country all the time. And there's all kinds of different ways that we get them here. The reason why we indict somebody is because we want them here to face justice in front of a jury of their peers. So, how we go about doing that obviously depends on the circumstances in the case, and I'm not going to go beyond that, but we expect, we didn't indict, this isn't a show indictment. This is an indictment because we expect that there was a warrant issued for his arrest. So we expect that he will show up here by his own will or by another way and go to prison. Next question.
Indeed. From the clip of the day to the song of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Song of the day is from Marvin. On this day in 1971, Marvin Gaye released his 11th studio album, What's Going On? The album, 9 songs telling the story of, from the perspective of a Vietnam veteran returning to the country he had been fighting for and seeing what is happening in America and fighting drug addiction, by the way. Regarded as one of the landmark recordings in pop music history and one of the greatest albums made in the 20th century. Released on this day, 1971, by the marvelous Marvin Gaye. May God bless and protect each and every one of you, your families and your loved ones. Love and gratitude for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. And God willing, we'll be back with you tomorrow for the I Can't Believe It's Already Friday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, the fastest hour in American media. Until then, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?